Welcome to Canada's podcast.
Hello and welcome to Calgary's podcast with Mario Toneguzzi on Canada's Podcast Network. Joining me today is Daniel Plenzik and Jacques Tremblay, who are the founders and owners of Bridgeland Distillery in Calgary. Thanks for joining us today, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Mario. Thank you.
Okay, first of all, I got to ask, I see a big thing in the background behind you. What is that?
It's our beautiful traditional pot still. Both Jacques and I went down to Kentucky to kind of see some of the larger manufacturers of beautiful stills for making whiskeys and bourbons, brandies, grappa, of course. So we went down to Kentucky, and Louisville is where she comes from. And like we named all our vessels here at the distillery after different bridges, well, we named her the Louise Bridge, so it's Louise behind us from Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay, and just out of curiosity, how much did that baby cost?
Oh, well, it's like a Ferrari.
Okay, we'll leave it at that.
It's the best of the best.
Okay. Well, first of all, guys, tell me just a little bit about Bridgeland Distillery, when you guys started it, and what you guys do.
Yeah, so we started here in Bridgeland back in 2018. We started constructions at this building. We got 6 months into constructions, and then we were ready to start production. We opened to the public in August 2019. So it's been a year and a half now under our belt and with receiving guests and customers.
Okay, super. And so obviously there is a seating area there when COVID restrictions are fine. And you have the distillery together, right? Just as for our folks that are maybe not here from Calgary, they don't know, right?
Yeah.
Okay, super. Tell me a little bit about your backgrounds and what were you doing prior to starting this business? Daniel, start with you.
Yeah, I mean, both Jacques and I were engineers first. Actually, Jacques and I didn't know each other until we met at a distilling course in the Okanagan in 2016. But before that, I guess I was born in Bridgeland. My parents immigrated from Italy. I was born here, went to school here, different schools here in Bridgeland, Renfrew, and then eventually out in St. Francis. Went to University of Calgary, got my electrical engineering. Jacques got his geomatics. Eventually, I worked in the oil and gas industry for about 20 years, and I guess Jacques was in critical services 911.
Yeah, I was in public safety, 911 software side, so quite different. So when we met, we kind of compared notes and the desire to start the business in a totally different field.
Yeah, I mean, my entire life, like Jacques, like we were brewing. I was doing different wines. Jacques was doing different beer. Every once in a while, you tried your hand at distilling that wine into brandy. A lot of Italians with me were doing, taking those grape skins, distilling into grappa. And over time, that passion, you had a passion for it, and we decided, well, we wanted to take that passion and make it a second career.
Okay, super. Let me just ask you guys, like recently you received some awards, right, for some of your spirits. Can you tell me what those awards were, and then maybe we'll even partake in some of those winners.
I guess a few of them here that we won in the Alberta Beverage Awards, judges selection. Just most recently, just about a week and a half ago, the 4 bottles we have in front of us here just won medals at the Canadian Artisan Spirits Competition. It's for all Canadian kind of craft distillers. They submit their bottles for tasting. And yeah, we won 3 golds and a silver just about a week and a half ago.
Okay, let's try one. Let's
you know what? Let's start with the Bada Bing.
Bada Bing.
Call it Bada Bing because it's a
okay, I got my little sample here.
Oh, beautiful. So this is an unaged Moscato brandy. So unaged meaning it has absolutely no color. It's a perfectly clear spirit. That's how it comes off the still twice or three times. It's perfectly clear. We used for this product 100% Moscato grapes, or Muscat.
Okay.
The grapes come from, on this product, from California. We receive the grapes through Scarpones, Italian store here in Cal. And yeah, let's have our first sip.
Okay, thank you.
It's a very refreshing product.
It is.
I get a lot of like pears, white peaches, like lily of the valley on the aroma. This product won a gold medal in the eau-de-vie category.
So where do you get your names from for your spirits?
Our names? I mean, it's funny. We tend to like to make spirits that we can't actually call after their standard names. For example, we make a scotch, but we can't call it scotch because scotch can only be made in Scotland. We make a grappa. We cannot call it grappa because it's got to be made in Italy or in a small town, Ticino in Switzerland. Bourbon is another one. We can't actually call it bourbon, B-O-U-R-B-O-N, because that's, again, a protected name in the U.S. So our bourbon is actually named B-E-R-B-O-N after the corn it's derived from, which is from Calgary.
Yeah. Let me ask you in general, there's, I guess in the last few years, there's been quite a movement, a popularity movement towards distilleries, towards craft beer places. Why do you think that's happening in the world?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's part of that local and slow food movement where everyone wants to get back to what everything should be tasting like. So this craft movement, it's like you said, it's really snowballing in popularity. And it illustrates that everyone, and when I say everyone in their particular location can produce something unique and something that is flavorful and tastes different from the next province or the next city over. Like for instance, we're using grains for whiskeys that are just being grown within 100 miles of the distillery. We take our wheat and barley and old just south of Red Deer, and our corn and tabor. So for us, it's important that the ingredients are local.
Yeah.
Just like on the wine side, we have grapes from California, but we also have grapes from the Okanagan Valley. So it's important for us.
Yeah, it's that movement, that local movement is unbelievable. These days, you're seeing it more and more in different areas. What about the whiskey side of things? There seems to be I don't know if you want to use the word rebirth, but in some ways there seems to be a rebirth in whiskeys and cocktails and stuff like that. Why do you think that's happening?
Yeah, so both in what's interesting with the whiskey world is both in Scotland with their Scotch whiskey and single malt flavor, and in Kentucky and the U.S. in general with the bourbon, there's been a rebirth in the last 20 years, in the last 15 years on that. Why is that rebirth? I think what happened in the 80s, like everyone was about wanted a light flavor, and that's why gin and vodka were all of a sudden very popular. But after that, people start looking for more flavor, and they realize that Scotch and bourbon packs a punch of flavor.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, guys, time for the second tasting. Which one are we going to try?
Yeah, we'll try what we call our grappa de Gewürztraminer, or eau-de-vie. So eau-de-vie usually means water of life. We went eau-de-vie, which is water from the vine. Okay. Again, you can't call it grappa. That's why we do it that way.
Hey, Daniel, being as I pour mine, Daniel, being Italian, maybe a lot of people out there that are not as fortunate. Sorry, Jacques.
Yeah.
being Italian. Tell people and explain to people what grappa is.
Yeah, so if you distill different beers, you make whiskey. If you distill different wines, you make brandy. If you take the grape skins what we do is we ferment them separately, because typically we're using white varietals, in this case a Gewürztraminer. We take those skins after they've been pressed, and there's still residual sugar, so we ferment them separately.
Yeah.
And we distill those entire skins in the still. We actually take those whole skins, put it into the wheat here, and distill the alcohol off of it. We get very little product because there's very little alcohol to begin with in those skins.
Yeah.
It takes us about, during the season, 6 to 8 weeks to do our distillations of just the skins alone. It's a short period. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. Yeah. And normally you'll see grappa to have like an unaged style, similar to our butt vinegar. But this one in particular, what we did is we aged it in French Limousinneau barrels. These barrels were made in Italy, 20 minutes from my family's farm in Italy. So to me, it's local.
Okay,
cheers.
gentlemen, enjoy.
Now the aromas alone on this are a lot of lychee fruit. I get a lot of lychee fruit on the nose.
Okay,
there's a cocktail that uses this in a cocktail with lychee fruit.
Okay, got to ask you, how does your and not to mention any names, of course, but how does what you produce there compare to some of the old Italians? Stuff?
Well, I couldn't even compare it to the stuff I used to make in the garage as well, right? It's way better, of course. I mean, I've had the best and the worst grappa in it. Some of the worst I've had in some very small restaurants where they were making their own. And some of the best I've had are some beautiful distilleries in Italy. One was Berta. And we took kind of some inspiration from them with their aged grappas, hence why we're aging our grappa as well. Most grappa is not aged, but we're finding most people would prefer to drink it this style, and that's why we're doing it.
Okay, maybe Jacques, you can answer this question. Tell me a little bit about the business model in terms of where you sell the product to.
Yeah, so initially all the product were sold out of our tasting room because we're allowed to sell by the bottles here in Calgary, in Alberta, from the distillery. But quickly we realized that to be successful, we need to be a liquor store. Now, to be a liquor store across Canada, each provincial body regulates the selling of alcohol. So right now we're limited to Alberta because we haven't gone into the procedure, the process to register in other provinces. So we're in mainly Calgary and starting to be in Edmonton, but we're probably in 45 liquor store across the province right now.
Okay, and you guys also customize, for a lack of a better word, different product for different businesses, right? Like
Yes.
you've done special whiskeys for certain companies, right?
Yeah. So a good example is this Amaro. We did it with in collaboration with Bourbon, who's a famous deli here in town in Calgary, and they approached us last fall in 2019, and they wanted to have an Amaro made as per their specs, basically. We like it so much that we asked them the permission to use their name to continue selling it, and
yeah.
they were really happy and honored to do that.
Well, one of my family's favorites. Okay.
We'll get to that at the end.
Okay, we'll do that one at the end. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me talk. Is there, with the explosion that we've seen in Alberta and locally here in Calgary of craft breweries, of distilleries, is there a danger of oversaturation in the market? How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, I think it's not. We're not near the point of saturation. You have to know that the craft distilling on the shelf, it only represents a small fraction of the big player.
Yeah.
And everyone now is so interested in having it local. I think right now, total sales for AGLC, we represent meaning the craft movement, only represent 3 to 5% of what's available on the shelves.
Yeah.
So it's still very, very small in comparison of the whole industry. And I think because everyone's trying to find their own angle, their own niche, there's room for more players, right?
Yeah, we think we're probably still about 4 to 5 years behind the craft brewing movement. I mean, the craft brewing movement is kind of exploded, right? Like there's probably 55 breweries in Calgary. It's quite amazing. I think there's only 7 or 8 craft distilleries in the same geography.
Okay, super. Okay, which one next, guys?
We'll go with the bourbon, Tabor Corn Bourbon. This is a bourbon made of 60% corn, about 30% barley, and 10% wheat. So it's a wheated bourbon.
Okay.
And what's unique is where the corn's coming from, Tabor. Everyone knows the sweet corn of Tabor, and we were fortunate to reach out and meet with a family growing their corn in the Tabor County, and they're providing us exclusively that corn to make that bourbon.
Obviously, for people, these are people in Alberta and Southern Alberta will know all about Tabor corn, but for other viewers who may be watching this from the rest of the country, tell us about why Tabor corn is so good.
Yeah, so Tabor corn is typically super sweet. The sweet corn that is in season in August. Here in Alberta, it's everywhere. There's lots of stands on the side of the road selling it.
Yeah.
And it became like a tradition in August and September to have it with your meals. So we thought it made sense to make a bourbon with it.
We're very proud of this Alberta corn. I mean, just like in BC, they're proud of their Chilliwack corn, and Ontario, they're very proud of their corn as well. This is our Alberta version.
I'm going to show people the label here. Well, you know what? That doesn't work because it turns backwards. Never mind.
Yeah, so this one is a bit higher on the alcohol by volume. We're at 45 as opposed to 40, 42 for a traditional bourbon.
Okay, let's try it.
Nice color. It's been in the cask for about 12 months. And there's lots of notes of caramel, sweet caramel, basically, fresh straws, and corn, of course, right?
Excellent, thanks. I'm going to switch gears and talk a little bit about being entrepreneurs, in this day and age. Now, I presume, just by your backgrounds, you both worked for, quote unquote, the man, right, in your careers. What's it like being your own bosses, being an entrepreneur?
It's amazing. Everything's on you. Jacques and I have an amazing relationship. I would never do a business by myself, and neither would Jacques. It's just there's just too many things that are going in parallel. You need to make sure you have a business partner that has good attributes that you don't, and that kind of thing. So we're actually quite good. Where one is a little bit better at one thing, they take care of that, and the other one is better at the other, takes care of it as well, right? So
kind of the yin and yang thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's the number one important thing. First of all, going into business is to ensure you have that right partner, because it truly is a marriage outside of a marriage, right?
And it's something I learned from Dan. Dan used to own his own business as an electrical engineer. I was operating a large business owned by Americans, but it's something that in my mind I didn't see the need for a partner. And through our conversation, Daniel and I realized that that's the way to go, because there's so many moving parts, and it can be overwhelming. But tackling both of us makes sense.
So what's the best thing from your perspective of being an entrepreneur? What do you like the most about it?
Oh, just, I mean, putting your stamp on your own product, I guess. Like, I mean, I took a lot of pride in engineering as well. Like when I did a design, I did it as though it was my own. It was my own facility. Now we're doing it. It truly is our own facility. It truly is our own product.
Yeah.
So just putting our stamp on it, I think, and making, I guess, like some sort of impact in the society. I guess. Like.
So when you look back, when you started the business, what were some of the biggest challenges of starting a new business?
That's a good question. I think, well, first of all, because we needed to build a space with the right equipment, the initial phases were all designed the whole operation before even having done that, right? I mean, we had visited a lot of distillery over the years, whether in Canada, US, Japan, Italy, and so on. And we tried to find out what was working, what was not working, so we would learn from the mistakes of others, basically. So initially basically the steps of designing the space were important for a successful operation later on.
Yeah. With our business model, we aren't making gin and vodka. Gin and vodka are quick to market. We like gin and vodka, but it's not our passion. We're not passionate about it. So everything we do typically is aged. It takes time.
Yeah.
I'm not the most patient guy, but it's teaching you patience for sure, right? Like we got to wait 3 years to call our single malt whiskey. It just takes a long time. So I guess that's a huge challenge, is trying to ensure that also on the financial side, because we aren't quick to market it with gin and vodkas, that we can make it through that period.
Okay, now I think I know, Danny, you're born and raised in Calgary, right?
Yeah.
Jacques, you're from where originally?
Quebec City. So I was from Quebec City being on the St. Lawrence River, so that's where I'm from. Yeah.
When did you move to Calgary?
We arrived in Calgary 22 years ago.
Okay.
I was working for a software company then.
Okay, so let me ask you guys about being an entrepreneur these days in Calgary. Now, we all know Calgary's gone through some really wicked, tough times in the last 6-7 years, really. It all started with the oil price collapse in late 2014, and we really never recovered from that. And then, of course, the pandemic has added to the woes of the economy here. What's it been like starting a business during a recession? Like, basically, because you guys really did. Like, it's we may have had ups and downs types thing in the last few years, but since late 2014, Calgary's really been in a recession. All right. So what's it been like starting a business during that time?
Well, starting a business, we kind of already knew we were in that recession time, I guess. Like, I mean, even our dollar versus the US dollar was quite different. So even buying equipment when we were buying it in the US had a huge impact in the capital spend, the initial investment, right? It's I guess what threw us for a loop was the COVID when it hit 1 year ago today when we were getting shut down. And at that time, like Jacques was alluding to, we were pretty much only selling out of our distillery. And when COVID hit, it had a huge impact on us because we weren't in many liquor stores. So we were fortunate enough, like you guys, a few liquor stores took us on. For example, Calgary took us on. At that time, we started making some hand sanitizer as well for health services, that kind of thing that helped us get through. And we started an online store, and really the community really came together and supported us. We in turn supported them back. We donated a lot of sanitizer, for example, to the drop-in center, a few blocks away from here.
Yeah, I think the word agility is key here, right? It's you need to learn, and it's a cliche. I know when you start a business, like learn to fail fast, right? But we really had to find out what's working, and from week to week or month to month, reassess what's working and what's not quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, guys, time to try the last one. And just as a preamble to this, this is a Spalumbo's Amaro. And my good friend, Tony Spallettini, one of the owners with Mike Palumbo at Spalumbo's in Calgary, one of the best places to get sausage and in the city. Anyways, can you tell me the story, first of all, about how this beauty came about? It happens to be my family favorite as well.
So, first of all, an Amaro, it's a bittersweet liquor, Italian style. It's in the same family of product that Prater liquor from Germany, like Jagermeister, basically. But in Italy, they take pride of having a distinct flavor profile. But it's not one flavor; it's many flavors. We chose to work with Spalumbo and other companies to come up with it based on what they like. So it's really fennel forward, anise forward. There's cinnamon in there, and how we make it, we started with a brandy, similar to what Babbing is, and we macerate the herbs, roots, and aromatics that is the base of that liquor. Now, the nice red, dark color comes from a couple of components.
Yeah.
Mainly cranberries is in there to give that color.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay, let's give it a whirl.
Yeah, we're super grateful, obviously, to Spalumbo's and what they call the Friday Club. There was 5 members of the club. They came together, did a distillery tour, and honestly, it was right at the beginning of when we opened the tasting room. And they came and they purchased a bunch of bottles from us, and it was a really good head start for us. They helped us, and they're just great people.
Okay, guys, so I'm going to ask you kind of a stupid question, but how do you not finish off work each day coming out of the shop stumbling drunk?
Well, you got to learn to spit. It's really hard for me. There are days when like honestly, when we do our spirit runs, is what we call them, when we're collecting the good spirit that we're drinking today.
Yeah.
There's only so much instrumentation can do for you. You have to truly taste the product to make sure you're still in the good product, right? The good zone.
Yeah.
But yeah, you definitely. Spitting is important.
So what do you guys do? What do you guys do in your spare time? Like, what interests do you have outside of making whiskey?
Our hobbies up to a couple of years, we're making whiskey now. Right? Turn that into our work. I mean, I'm like that. I like outdoors. I like hiking. I like skiing.
Yeah, I love fishing. Hunting, it's all a lot of outdoor activities, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
So those are types of things, in this day and age, we all talk about it. Everybody talks about that work-life balance, right? And when you're an entrepreneur, when you're an entrepreneur, you're on 24/7 basically, right? And do you guys feel you have, with the other?
I mean, I learned that on my last business, obviously, that doing it 24/7, always on, is it's not going to work on the long run. That's for sure. So we've chatted about that many times. But you do need to take the time. We do have families, we have kids, so that kind of thing, right? It's very important. I mean, this is the second marriage, but we want our first marriage to be good too, right? Like so it's very important.
Yeah, and little things. I mean, we build this facility so. We don't have to work 18 hours a day. We have efficiency the way we run this operation.
Yeah.
And on the schedule side, then it's very early. We're here at 6:30, and I'm probably here a lot later, but I'm staying a lot later. So we have a good coverage between Dan and I on the whole process.
Okay, so everybody knows, I know you guys quite well, and I visit your spot often. Looking over my shoulder over on this side, you see the bottles there. Big fans of it. But what I sense and get from both of you, like, you guys are really enjoying what you're doing. right?
Oh, love it. Absolutely love it.
Is
It's a lot of work.
that a key for people? You know, they always say that, you know, find something that you love doing and that doesn't seem to be like work. That's kind of like a cliche term, but do you find that with yourselves?
Yeah, 100%. Like when I did engineering, I loved doing engineering. Just over time, you know, 20 years is a while, and we wanted to kind of change things, right? Keep life interesting, I guess. And I mean, most of your day is going to be at work. You might as well love what you're doing.
Okay, Jacques?
Yeah, I'd say life is short. So when you're into your 40s and 50s, it's important to think what you want to do and what you want to else do, right? I mean, there's things you've been doing all your career, but there's things that it's in the back of your mind as a project for later on. Well, we decided not to wait for later on and do it now.
Okay, super. Hey, well, thanks a lot, guys, for joining us today. Thanks for the samples. They were fantastic. As always, really enjoyed the conversation today with both of you.
Thanks so much, Murray.
Thank you.
Okay, super. That was Calgary's podcast with Mario Toneguzzi on Canada's Podcast Network. And with us today were Daniel Plenzik and Jacques Tremblay, owners and founders of Bridgeland Distillery in Calgary. Thanks for joining us today.